Gather round the flickering candlelight and prepare to cross the veil. Each week on the Boocifer Seance, your ghostly guides, Mrs. and Mr. Boo, summon a chilling new tale from the other side. From haunted mansions and cursed forests to restless spirits with unfinished business, this spectral duo dives deep into spine-tingling ghost stories that will haunt your dreams. Whether it's a forgotten legend or a real-life haunting, no story is too eerie for the Boos to conjure. So light a candle, clutch your blanket tight, and dare to join the seance, because once you listen, something might just follow you home. Enter, if you dare.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Boocifer Seance. Let's go.
Yes.
If you
How?
weren't here for I apologize. If you weren't here for the first one, I am Mrs. Boocifer.
And I am Mr. Boocifer.
Welcome. Would you like to kick it off, Mr. Boo?
Sure. So I would like to start by saying thank you for everyone who has listened, who has followed, subscribed to the various channels, YouTube, Spotify, Twitch, even. We greatly appreciate that, and it goes a long way for our channel. We also appreciate all of the feedback that we've received from our first episode. Again, this was the first time we have done anything like this, and it was a little rough on the first one. Had some audio issues that I still think we're trying to work out. So bear with us on that. Hopefully, this episode is a little bit better. Um, to kind of break into our topic, we had a few of my close friends who listen to this request that we do something a little bit scarier than the first topic. But like I said at the beginning, there's things that Mrs. Boo believes in that I don't. There's things that I believe in that she doesn't. So we're trying to hit off of both. And last episode was definitely something in her wheelhouse. This one is definitely going to be something in my wheelhouse. So yeah, so do you want to talk about what our topic is this week and then I'll do our summary?
Yeah. All right. So our um our topic is the haunting of the Burley Rectory. If you don't know what that is, if you've seen the movie The Nun, you know anything about The Conjuring. It uh yeah, it that's her. So um yeah, that's really, I mean, yeah, it's really much the nun, the little nun lady. If you know anything about her, I don't. Well, I guess I do know much about the story. Mister,
Hmm?
if you're ready.
Oh, you ready for the
Yeah.
the uh, fabulous summary?
Oh yeah, your fabulous speaking summary.
Alrighty, well, here we go. So the history of the Borley Rectory. Borley Rectory was first built back in 1863 on the site of an old monastery. The reports of strange occurrences date back to the mid to late 1800s. However, the first documented evidence of paranormal activity was in the early 1900s. The first reports that came to public attention were from 1928 when the then owner, Guy Eric Smith, and his wife contacted the Daily Mirror newspaper to report the strange goings on. The newspaper then took on the help of a paranormal investigator known as Harry Price. Mr. Price stayed at the house to carry out extensive research for more than a year. In 1939, the house was burnt to the ground. An oil lamp was the cause. It was then left in ruins until 1944 when it was demolished. For a house labeled as the most haunted house in England, it's little wonder there's no shortage of ghostly experiences. One of the earliest sightings and perhaps most famous is that of a nun. This may seem strange given that there used to be a monastery on the site. One would expect a monk rather than a nun. According to local folklore, a nun from a nearby nunnery fell in love with a monk from the monastery, and the pair attempted to elope together. They were found and sentenced to death. The monk was reported to have been sent to the gallows in the monastery, whilst the nun was sealed into the walls of the nunnery alive. This nun is believed to be the one that is seen on the grounds of Borley Rectory, looking for the monk in the hope of running away together once more. The nun has seen and heard several times throughout the years. She seemed to be most active during the time in which Reverend Harry Bull lived there. The most significant report comes from Eric Smith and his wife. They reported mysterious footsteps, doorbells ringing of their own accord, and poltergeist activity which occurred numerous times. Eric Smith and his wife reported their experiences to the Daily Mirror newspaper, who then arranged for the paranormal investigator Harry Price to stay and investigate. While staying there for a little over a year, Price witnessed the reported phenomenon. He was said to have got in touch with the spirit of past tenant Reverend Harry Bull, who died there years before. As numerous attempts at exorcising the property and continued media intrusions, in 1930, Mr. and Mrs. Smith left the house for good. The following residents of the house were Reverend Foister and his wife Mary Ann. They both were to continue to experience all the same phenomenon that Price and the Smiths had witnessed before them. However, the poltergeist activity seemed to get more aggressive, with reports of smashed glasses, broken windows, and Mary Ann being thrown from her bed by an unseen force. The couple were to also experience otherworldly messages on the walls which defied any logical reason like other reports. After 5 years of what must have been very frightening indeed, the Foisters left the house, leaving Price to move in and continue his study without interference. However, during his stay, he and his team of researchers were left relatively disappointed as they witnessed very little compared to what had been seen before. A couple accounts of what Price experienced were published in the book The Most Haunted House in England. Even after the house was burned to the ground, reports continued to emerge. The most recent reports occurred in the parish church. Mr. Price died in 1948, and since then, many skeptics have dissected his work, explaining all sound phenomenon and other phenomenon as misinterpreted natural occurrences. Believe what you will, but all reports stretching over 100 years seem to cement its place as one of the most haunted houses in Britain, and maybe even the world. Borley Rectory is no longer standing, and the exact location of where it stood is a guessing game. However, it is likely the location of Borley Rectory, and it gives the coordinates. And then the last line of this article from hauntedrooms.uk is, "We don't advise visiting the area as it could be private and it could be haunted." And that's our summary.
Yep, that was a great movie tale right there.
Movie tale. I hear you.
Oh man, a lot to disclose, or not disclose, but uncover there.
Well, I'm gonna let you know. I was the gentleman and let you go first last time, so I think I'm gonna continue that and let you go first this time because I, I already know you're gonna be so profoundly against the story. I am just absolutely prepared for it. So, whenever you're ready to just slander my name, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna start off first with, come on, really? So a monk falls in love with a nun in another convent. Okay, cool. Like, all right. But the fact that the nun is yeah, the fact that the nun yeah, the fact that the nun is the only one who gets hung. Well, not hung. She gets pushed to the side and put in a wall, while the monk himself gets to go on and I guess be hanged. So he had the worst. I mean, I guess it's not really even. But how is it that they both get punished and only one haunts the grounds?
So, I mean, my theory on that is that it it has a lot to do with the way they died, right? So the monk was hung, which during the time was a pretty routine method of execution. The nun, supposedly, was buried in the walls of the rectory alive. So if you my belief and a lot of other, ghost activists or whatever you want to call it, believe that hauntings have a lot to do with the circumstances of death. So in this case, the monk suffered a punishment that was, at the time, equal to his crime. Do I agree that the nun suffered a punishment equal to her crime? Probably not. And I believe the circumstances of her death may have been what caused her haunting.
But was she actually put or buried in the walls? There's one count that they find one of the people staying there find a head in the closet. Not a head, but like the skeleton of what they,
Skull.
yeah, the skull of what they appeared to be a young woman, 100 years old. It's 100-year-old skull. But then they find the rest of the body in a well,
Supposedly.
supposedly. So two different places of the body. It's just, and then there's a count of Mary Ann. Oh God, don't get me started on Mary Ann. Admitted to having an affair with the guy who was running the rectory, and admitted to faking faking all the incidents that was happening to her.
Mhm.
So it discredits any.
Okay, so let's clarify something. You have over 100 years of ghost sightings, occurrences, hauntings, incidences, and one lady denounces the whole thousands of other recorded incidences of this property.
Oh
You
yes.
can't be you can't be a believer in anything if one person can denounce the whole entire theory. Because I can tell you right now, someone between the two of us believes in aliens. And if just me saying, yeah, I saw an alien one time, but I was lying about it, denounced every other sighting that ever occurred, come on now. I mean, I understand that hers were to date probably the most intricate stories, and
Hmm.
it's sad to hear that they were lies, but I truly do not believe that it denounces every other every other story, every other happening, every other record of a haunting at this place solely because this one woman lied.
Yeah, I guess I see a little bit of that, but if they were really experiencing all of this, how did this place continually get visitors? Why did people continually live there for
Because
years
it's a
and years?
rectory. So they don't they don't have a choice but to live there. Like they and this all goes back to Catholicism, and I am not a Catholic by any means, and you know that.
Hmm.
But my understanding from the research that I've done is this is where the rectory was built, and there is the priest and the whatever you want to call them have to live there. There is no choice to go live in a house somewhere else in town. So if they're living there, naturally their families are going to visit, their friends are
Hmm.
going to visit, and a lot of these visitors went knowing that this stuff was going on. But this is where the reverends have to live. They don't have a choice.
Set it on fire.
It sounds like somebody tried twice and succeeded twice. But in my opinion, setting something on fire doesn't get rid of the freaking nun that's haunting you. She's not a physical being that's going to be able to catch on fire and die again,
Well,
right?
oh, she just wants to be reunited. Just
Yeah,
find the body of the old one.
it's
Ah.
true. It's true. I mean, truly, I see, to me, what really draws me to this story is, of course, it's a little bit spookier of a tale. It attached. You of course got the movies out there, The Conjuring, The Nun,
Hmm.
which have been grossly exaggerated, and they'll even tell you that it is based off of a true story, but it has been grossly exaggerated. And I'm more referring to the Nun. I am.
Yes.
I always speak on the Conjuring, the first movie. I'm not talking about the other like five that follow suit. The first movie was very closely based off of Ed and Lorraine Warren's accounts of their stories about what they endured, doing exorcisms and things like that. And of course, exorcisms being involved, my little tingly stick up because that's my thing. But um, a lot of people say that Ed and Lorraine Warren were fakes, but again, I weigh heavy into the accounts of anything to do with exorcism or um, like anything that the church is involved in, because the church was so strict on what they could do, what they couldn't do, how they had to document it, things of that nature. That, I mean, for you to fabricate the stories of Ed and Lorraine Warren, I mean, to say that none of them are true, okay? Like, we can both agree that not everything that happened was probably a haunting or demonic possession or something like that. Okay, I'll concede that not 100% was true, but to say that 0% is true, I just can't. I can't get on board with that. And then the same thing goes here. I'm sure that the creaking of the floor, the doors flying open, the different things like that were, might have been the wind. Okay, but not everything that happened at this place was or can it be explained by normal happenings.
Yeah, I guess I'll give like the kids seeing the I don't see
Yeah.
I
So
just
so just for you listeners, what she's referring to is, of course, when we picked a topic, the first place we stopped was the tape library.
mhm.
And I hope that those of you who have listened and watched us have gone by there and listened
They're
to
so
them,
good.
or the real ghost stories on Spotify. Again, I'm shouting those two out. I love those, especially the real ghost stories. They get me through my work day every day, and they don't pay me to say that. So, um, I love their podcast, but the tape libraries has been kind of a first go to point for us in our research. Um, he does a really good job of summarizing our stories, and then usually, we go from there and find some sort of documented research of the property. Like, I think last week it was the BBC that did some of that research. Um, but the tape libraries did a really good story on this, and in the story, there's two incidences where the children are in the rectory,
Mhm.
and the reverend is in his office, and the children see a nun, and a ghostly nun with no feet and floating, and they scream, and the reverend comes in and finds them in such a disarray and a shock state. And they explain what is happening there. I mean, we're talking about multiple kids in the same room. And again, it's kids, I understand. And then it happens again. They see the same thing. And that story has been repeated. Other people have seen the same thing on the grounds of the rectory. They've seen it in the rooms, but that, to me, there's nothing that really explains what they could have saw.
But see what gets me is then there's so he experiences those two incidents,
Mm-hmm.
but then he has 37 years of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but everybody else doesn't. What
Does a ghost have to manifest to him? The ghost didn't manifest to him to begin with.
that is
It
true.
manifests to the children.
But like in previous, it says it. Well, I guess that was what's her name? The other hussy.
Saying,
Yeah, the other hussy that I guess was having an affair that I guess it matched the two incidents, and that's why she was able to get away with what she did. But like, I don't know. See, I
no, I understand. I mean, I see where your skepticism is, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, I don't know. there's things that have happened at this rectory that I just can't I can't get my head around that. Um, there's no way to explain it, and um,
See, I respect Ed and Lorraine Warren because maybe they did, maybe they did, but like there's some stories before them that just I don't know. I don't know.
yeah, I agree.
But
But go ahead.
they're like there's like I want to dig deeper
Hmm.
into the Ed and Lorraine,
Yeah,
like for their side, because I feel like the more they do is better. Like
yeah.
I just can't believe the one in like the one. I don't know. There's just a lot of back and forth that's just
Oh,
mess
I
me up.
agree. Here, I got something for you. So this is a list of everything, well, a summarized list of most of the things that have happened in this property. Um, so bells
Let's
ringing,
hear it.
phantom dogs, phantom footsteps, whisperings, doors opening and closing of their own accord, sounds of crashing glass and furniture, flying bricks through windows, flying candlesticks being thrown into walls, flying bars of soap, lights in various parts of the house flickering on and off, disappearing utensils that magically reappear in a different spot, various articles of unidentified origin tumbling down the stairs, books being replaced by other books, jewelry unlatched from wrist and vanishing, strange smells, notably lavender, various articles thrown at houses' inhabitants, brushes, books, etc., and milk jugs being emptied.
I mean, a lot of those can just be like, okay, maybe I forgot. I put my phone on the counter, but I think it's on me. Like a lot of those can. I don't know. See, it's
See, like I can denounce phantom footsteps. Footsteps to me, it's too open to it could be something natural, right?
like yeah. There's just not
Whispering
enough.
could be the wind.
Yeah.
Doors opening and closing in a house that was built in the 1800s could be the wind. Sounds of crashing glass and furniture. That's a hard one for me to explain. Again, wind blew something over, but if they're walking in the room, they heard it and there's nothing broken.
Yeah.
Okay. Candlesticks being thrown at the walls. Good luck explaining that one to me. Um, books being replaced by other books.
Let me guess
Jewelry
here.
being unlatched from your wrist and vanishing. Um, I mean, some of these things are easily debunked, but some of them I feel like there's no logical, no worldly explanation for.
See, I feel like there's not enough on the nun, the rectory itself. There's just gaps. You get a person who had 37 years of nothing. Then you get the lady who was there for 5 years and experienced stuff, but they weren't true. Then you get um, Harry Price, who does some seances, but there's not really much information on the seances. Like, you don't know how they came out. But then the only real person you get, like, a little bit of some juicy information is Ed and Lorraine Warren, where I guess the ghost, whatever, followed her home, and she
Well, you're talking about from the movie,
no, said she
because I didn't read that part.
yeah. At the end, she says that um the what you want to call it, the nun follows her. It follows. Well, she doesn't know it's the nun. She says um
I'm going to read this real quick if you're okay
okay.
with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
says Borley Rectory was a house that gained infamy as the most haunted. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna skip some of this stuff. We already talked about it. Good lord, this is long. It says paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren documented their experience at Borley with clear photo evidence. Ed was able to capture the photo of the ghost of a monk leafing through a book in the church, while Lorraine experienced a black mass moving past her with undeniable evil energy. The photos revealed a nun in her presence.
But it's a monk. It's a nun. It's a monk.
I mean, is it impossible to have multiple spirits? Confused. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can find some more.
I see. It's just, why is it just them seeing the monk?
Right. Let's see.
But yeah, so the Warrens experienced an event because Lorraine is known for her like psychic sensitivity,
Mm-hmm.
and then
So it
Ed.
says the Warrens
Yeah.
traveled across the globe to investigate the Borley Rectory in Essex, England during the 1970s. According to the University of Maryland, the rectory, first built in 1862, gained a haunted reputation due to reports of several paranormal phenomena, including moving objects, mysterious knocking, and apparitions. The original rectory was damaged in a fire in 1939 and demolished in 1944, which further fueled speculation that it was haunted. There are several legends tied to the rectory, including lore about nuns buried on site. According to Aline J. Jarrett, Parapsychology Foundation's collections website, the Warrens photographed the church when they documented their experience. According to the New England Society of Paranormal Research, which is led by the Warrens' son-in-law, Tony Spira, Ed Warren took a photo that appeared to look like a monk reading through a book, while Lorraine Warren experienced a black mass that moved past her with undeniable evil energy. Quote, the society added a brick from the rectory taken during their investigation is displayed within the Warrens Occult Museum in Monroe.
Oh, I
I
would
want to
love
see
to
this
visit that.
picture. I see the brick. I want to see the picture.
You need me to bring it up?
It's rectory picture.
What's it called? Mm.
So this is the picture he's talking about. Oh, I guess he's talking about on the left. Hold on. Try to see if I can. There, see if you can throw that up there real quick.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Are you saying that's
No, I think he's saying this.
that's
There's a figure reading a book right here. This is him, I think.
huh.
This is it's kind of hard to see. I can't zoom in on it here, but
No, I got you.
hold on, let me see if I can really make it much bigger. Whoa. Anyway, I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I mean, I personally find Ed and Lorraine Warren to be respectable
Mm-hmm.
paranormal investigators, and here we have what they're claiming to be a photo documenting evidence. Again, is the photo convincing? Maybe not so much, but truly, it comes back to the house being exorcised. There was multiple exorcisms done in the home or in the rectory. Um, I don't think that exorcisms were going to do anything. Um, I really believe that an exorcism is based mainly off of a demonic, like presence, and I don't think that's what this is. I think this is, if anything, to put a name to it, a standard haunting. A ghost that died, a person that died in a terrible way bound to that property forever until whatever releases them, whether that's finding their boyfriend in the picture over here or whatever. But I don't think exorcism was the right way. I think during the time it was the only way that they felt um, to get rid of it. I also think the fires definitely had something to do with it. Um, I was trying to think. There was something else when I was reading the. Let me go back. I was reading the list of stuff that caught my attention that I had read about. You got any more questions in your 6 pages of you're wrong over there?
Oh, I'm wrong.
For those of you who are listening for the first time, um, we spoke about this last podcast. We do not speak about our research. We pick a topic, research it separately, come back together on the podcast, and you guys get to hear our thoughts. The in the raw, if you will, for the first time here. So when we sat down to start tonight, somebody's got 6 pages of "I don't believe you" written down over there. So I know she's got more to say.
No, I mean, well, you forget to mention there is that instance where, so if it's a haunting, you say they're bound to where they're at. So
Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes,
you saw where I was going with this.
just
Um,
saying. Sometimes.
but a few years later, after and Lorraine visited the rectory, she had an experience while she was reading a book. Um, yeah, she said she was reading a book at home when she felt a familiar presence. She looked up to see a black mass entering her room. Said it was like a vortex. And then
There's a
she,
picture of that too, but you don't
yeah,
want to see it.
I'm down. Just show it. She commanded it to leave and for it to go back where it came from, and it did. I thought, and maybe this is just based off the movies, I thought you have to say its name
Mm.
for it to go back.
That has a lot to do with demonic. You're talking about like Beelzebub. You have to call the devil by his name to send the devil back to where he came from. That doesn't apply always to every ghost, every haunting. Now,
Because in the
the
movie, she
theory. Hold
did.
on, let me pull this picture up. Ed Lorraine Warren Borley Rectory pictures.
In the movie, it was named, what is it?
Well, if you
Valak?
believe the movie, then that's your problem, right? So there's his picture. Wonder if I can.
Oh, it's a bright.
This is her picture. I have no idea what I'm even looking at
Yeah, I
there.
don't.
I don't know where we are. I don't know. I don't know. And I see the figure of a woman here, and I'm stretching it, I'll
Yeah.
admit. But I mean, you can see whatever this is, but this is supposed to be her picture of the black mass that she felt. But um,
I feel like she just
now
had the flash on a little bit
the
too high.
the theory about Ed and Lorraine Warren that, and again, nobody can ever prove this. I believe it, can't prove it. It goes a lot back to like the Annabelle doll. It's probably the most popular example of this.
They
Ed
lost
and
the doll.
the doll I think
God, I
has been
can't wait for
found,
that
hasn't it?
story. Oh,
I
they
hope
did
so.
find it, but I can't wait for that story. Somebody
Yeah.
pick that one next.
Trying to see. There's the brick. So this is the brick that they got gifted, whatever, from Borley Rectory, one of the stones from outside the building. So one of the things that has always been interesting to me is even in the most horrific cases that the Warrens have investigated, they always take something from it.
That's dumb.
The doll, the brick. Then they put it in this occult museum. And in the movie, it kind of explains it as this is Ed's way of they lock it in a room, they bless it 3 times a day, and it keeps it from ever haunting anyone again. Well, the theory is, and I'm not saying I completely agree with it. The theory is that because they bring these things home, That's why the entities follow them. Now, in certain situations, ghost, haunt, ghost is, I guess, the best word, you know, apparitions, whatever the entity is latched to the property. Now, if you watch The Conjuring, the mom who becomes demonically possessed, she can't leave the home. That is a big part of demonic possession. Not what we're, and like I said, the Borley Rectory is not that. Even though they tried to perform exorcisms, they tried to do all this stuff, that was what they knew. We're talking, I mean, this stuff started, what, in 1840? I'm surprised they didn't scream witch, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that they were even, and again, I think the exorcisms came after the 19th century, 1920s, 30s, 40s. But, in the 1800s, all they knew was it's demons, it's witches, it's witchcraft. Like, there is no other explanation for this.
Yeah.
But in any manner, this was one of the first, the Borley Rectory story is one of the first accounts of active ghost hunting, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
Um, this was a big breakthrough for that community. Was this is one of the earliest stories that you could find that people were actively, like Mr. Price was in the house for a year, actively investigating, documenting their discoveries, and that sort of thing. So that kind of goes a long way with it too. But um,
I would just.
sorry, that light's bright.
You're okay. I would just like. There's two more. Like, there's two people I would want to learn more about and see more information from them, and that's Harry Price. I want to see more of what he's found. I just to see where they got their credit from. Because I'm more of
So
a.
here's another good thing we can talk about. So it's Scripps, Planchettte. Did you read anything about this?
Ah, I did not.
Okay,
I did
so
not.
Roger H. Glanville, the son of a member of Price's team, held a series of seances. Little connection there, little Boocifer
Hmm.
Seance.
Yeah, but
Yeah, see,
right.
we're on the right track.
Yeah.
They held seances between October 1937 and March of 1938 to make contact with the Borley ghost. The proceedings of these seances were recorded in transcripts, and they were called the planchette scripts, compiled by author Trevor H. Hall. Other participants included the Reverend A.C. Henning and Mark Kerr Pierce, another of Price's observers. According to the transcripts, the participants made contact with spirits connected to Borley's history and legends. Both Marie Laire and Walter Gray spoke and revealed greater details about Marie's murder. During the final seance, a spirit called Sunnix Amures proclaimed that someone would set fire to the rectory tonight at 9. While this was not true, the rectory did catch on fire in February of the following year. Some use this as evidence to prove the authenticity of the ghost stories. So um, I'm going to read the transcript, and the questions are being asked by those in the seance. Um, so it starts, will you please try again? No answer. Will you please try once more? No answer. Are you over the Borley house? Or are you ever in the Borley house? Yes. Do you know Jane? No. Do you know Caldabia? No. Do you know any people called Bull? Yes. Please spell their name. And they said Henry. And then they said, can we speak to Henry Hall now? Yes. What does Henry say? No answer. Please spell his name. No answer. Mary, are you speaking for Henry? No answer, but they said probably a no. And then, are you Mary Laire? This was crossed out, and the planchette wrote, question me. So they responded, question, when they asked, are you Mary? It responded, question me. Who are you, Henry? Are you happy? No. What caused your unhappiness? My wife.
Okay.
Do you mean your wife? Yes. Do you know Katie? Yes. Please spell her surname, and it's spelled Boreham. What year did she die? 18890. Please try again. 1888. Can you tell us the month? April. Where did Katie Borum die? In the kitchen. From what? A child. Was the child's father there? Yes. Have you written on the walls? No. Who did? Harry. Did you marry the nun? And it says hesitant. It didn't want to answer. Do you know? I can't read it. Cowdebeck, Cowdeby? No. Do you know Henry? Yes. Do you know Jane? No. Where are you now? Borley. Do you know about the Latin message? Yes. Will you write the first word of the Latin message? No answer. Can you spell each letter alone in English? No answer. Do you mean you don't know what the message is? Yes. What is your wife's name? Jane. What is her maiden name? Bracken, however the hell you say her name. Where were you married? The date, 1889 or 1899. They couldn't be sure. Where? Borley. Will you repeat the date you were married? Important. 1889. Which month? March. What day of the month? 13th. Which day of the week? Friday. Did you mean Friday? Yes.
Of course. Friday the 13th. Of course. Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know. I didn't do much research into the seances themselves, so I don't know. There, you can pull up all of the records of their questions, um, but they they did have transcripts of all the seances that they did, all the questions that they asked. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to read this on the spot,
No, you're okay.
but says It says planchette writing is used in seances as means of communicating with spirits. To do this, here you go. A person places their hand on I'm saying this name wrong, this word wrong, I know. Planchette, a small wooden board with two wheels and a pencil. So we're talking about a Ouija board.
Oh my god.
And a spirit is said to move their hand to write. So this was the original. Now, we can go down a whole nother story on Ouija boards. The current Ouija board is not what it looked like back in the day. Back in the day, the planchette is the piece, the triangle piece, and it had a pencil in it. And you would hold that, and the ghost or spirit would write. So these answers are written. If you, I can't pull it up right now, but if you research the Borley writings, there's actual answers written here. Um, Here, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I definitely would love to look more into it, but more into the people because I don't believe in Ouija boards.
Can you show that?
They're the dumbest thing.
Can you show that screen on Discord?
Have to make it. There you go.
So this is the writings. So the smaller writing is their questions, and the larger writing, that's why they were saying it was like not legible or did not answer, is because some of it was not able to be written like this one on the top right there. So
See, with that,
you can roll your eyes with me all you want. Okay, you can close it out now.
with that, I would need to see that someone wasn't there doing it. You know,
Right.
because that could have just been drawn.
Mm,
I mean,
I agree. I'm just saying it's an interesting part of the
yeah.
story. I think this part plays heavily into um, the methods of original ghost hunting. You know, this is what they had. This is what they had to use. And they did it. And whether it was true or not, I mean, it's written in cursive, which is kind of crazy. Um, but again, you don't know if this was true or not. But I just think it's a very important part of the story.
I would love to do more ghost stories. Just because that's like I don't know. I don't know why it's a topic I have a hard time believing, but I'm quick to believe there's aliens. I mean,
Yeah, like just off the hip, we don't believe in aliens, but Mr. Boocifer wants to believe in demons, and nah, mm-mm.
nah. I guess it's more of my. I just don't want to believe. That could be it.
Right?
I just don't want to believe because the chances of me being abducted by an alien are slim. The chances of me getting abducted by a spirit is probably high. So you know what? It's better not believe.
I guess.
And then I'm looking at the Ed and Lorraine Warren stuff, and she's got books on vampires, zombies, and Monster Man. I'm starting to discredit her a little bit. Then she's got what looks to be Dungeons and Dragons in the corner. I feel like this photo is staged. It's not real. So I don't know. I don't
I
know.
agree.
But
Well,
yep, this will be like a shorter, I guess, podcast because there's just not much. There,
yeah, this was an interesting one, but I mean, it's pretty much either you believe in it or you don't. You
yeah,
know, there's not there. I think the biggest one with the this particular story is there's no victim. And I don't necessarily like calling it a victim, but by victim I mean you know, there's no one abducted, there's no one been hurt, there's no one been specifically possessed, there's no one. You've got 100 years worth of haunting tales that we could go through every one of them and try to debunk them. But this is a typical story of either you believe in this or you don't. And, you know, like Mrs. Booth said, you know, either you really just don't believe in it, you don't find it factual, you don't find it that you believe in it um because you are possibly scared of it. I'm not saying that's the situation here, but I mean, you horror and fear here plays a lot into skepticism. You know, I mean, if it's something that's very very scary or very even if it's so real, people are tending to not want to believe it because they don't want it to be real. So, you know, and personally, me, like I said, I believe in this kind of thing. So I trust about 90% of what happened here. There's a 10% of I want money. Come hear what I got to say. Come see what I wrote on a piece of paper. Come watch this picture that I took a picture of something in the corner, you know. But I find it hard to denounce over 100 years of continual reporting at this house and all of it to be not true. So. I'm going with 90% of it's true.
I'm going with. I need to see more. I need to hear some more, see some more evidence, because it's just there's just not enough. So I'm
Right.
going with nah, no, no, no,
All right. Well, folks, you heard it here first. We're undecisive, just like we were before, and we will be always. Um, if you came here for a definitive answer, you're in the wrong podcast.
no.
So next week we will have another episode on Friday. This episode will be available tomorrow on Spotify and YouTube.
Woohoo!
Please come follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Twitch. We are pretty much the Boocifer Seance on everything but Twitch. Twitch, we are Mrs. Boocifer. Um, we will hopefully try to do a user submission. I think we have a couple now to pick from. Some pretty interesting ones, some that got me kind of worked up reading them, and I know Miss Boocifer's kind of on the same page. So, yeah. Anything you want to add?
Thank you guys for the support and just the love. We love it. We love you guys being here. We love talking. I mean, even if it's talking nonsense, and there's someone out there like Miss Boo, you dumbass. You don't believe in ghosts? What? But we would like to see you guys again.
Yeah. And if you have submissions, we're open to anything, everything paranormal, supernatural, whatever you want to call it. If it's spooky, scary, horror, what the hell happened over here. I will say, after our user episode, we did talk about trying to do some hometown ghost stories. So we live in South Carolina. I was born and raised here. I'm a proud South Carolinian. The other one across the way there is a Yankee,
From
but
New
she has
Jersey.
been graciously accepted into the home of a true Southerner. Anyway, that being neither here nor there, South Carolina is rich with ghost stories and folklore. So I
Hmm.
would like to try to
New Jersey is too.
yeah, it both are. And I think what we would like to do, maybe starting after our user submission episode next week, is kind of bouncing back and forth between a South Carolina ghost story and a New Jersey ghost story. Just kind of, and we can kind of speak to the areas. I grew up here, she grew up in New Jersey, so we have a bit more of a connection to those places. And I think it would be more personal and maybe get some more information out of us because we may or may not know the area. I know the town that we live in um, is actually has its own ghost tours and things like that. Most of the towns around us do. But yeah, that's the plan. So if you have nothing further, I am going to tell everybody, as usual,
Usual. Stay
stay
spooky.
spooky.
Love you guys.